You know, we're all kind of looking for the same thing, aren't we? A sort of secret recipe for a happy life. A universal formula that works for everyone, no matter where you're from. Well, for decades, psychologists have been on the hunt for that exact thing. And today, we're going to look at some incredible research that suggests they might have finally found it.
So let's just get right to the core question, which is simple but also pretty deep. What do all humans, from Peru to Poland, Canada to China, what do we really need to not just survive, but to truly thrive? Is there some kind of common psychological blueprint for a good life?
Well, there's a really powerful idea out there called self-determination theory, and it makes a super bold claim. It says, yes, there is a universal code. It argues that all people everywhere share the exact same set of fundamental psychological needs. And get this, the researchers don't just call these needs helpful. They use this amazing metaphor, essential nutrients. Think about that. Just like your body needs vitamins and minerals to be physically healthy, this theory says your mind needs these specific inputs to truly flourish. They aren't just nice-to-haves. They are absolutely vital.
Okay, so what are these 3 essential nutrients for our minds? The theory actually boils it all down to 3 core needs. Let's break them down one by one.
First up, we have autonomy. This is our deep-seated need to feel like we're in the driver's seat of our own lives. It's that feeling that our choices are actually our choices, that they come from our own values, and we're not just a puppet being controlled by somebody else.
Second is relatedness. And this one just makes so much sense, right? We're social animals after all. This is the core need to feel genuinely connected to other people, to care for them, and feel like they care for us in return. It's about having a real sense of belonging.
And the third need is competence. This is our innate drive to feel effective and capable. It's that amazing feeling you get when you finally master a new skill, or you solve a really tough problem and get that rush of accomplishment. That's competence.
Now, here's a really important distinction the theory makes. It's not just about whether these needs are met or not. There's a huge difference between satisfaction, which is feeling fulfilled, and frustration, which is when a need is actively being blocked or undermined. So for instance, not feeling very connected is one thing, but feeling actively ignored or rejected, that's a much more powerful and much more negative experience.
A universal theory. It sounds great in principle, but how on earth do you actually test it? Well, a huge international team of researchers decided to take on that very challenge. They wanted to find out if this 3-need model really does hold up across the entire planet.
Just stop and think about how difficult that is. You need to create a single questionnaire that can accurately measure these deep, personal feelings, and it has to work just as well in Hungary as it does in Japan or Spain. So they developed a specific tool for this, called the Basic Psychological Needs Satisfaction and Frustration Scale. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but its job is simple: to measure how met or how blocked these core needs feel to people.
And the scale of this project was just mind-blowing. They didn't just test a few hundred people. They gathered data from over 76,000 individuals.
And these participants weren't just from one area. No. They came from 32 different countries, spanning pretty much the entire globe.
To even make that possible, the survey had to be carefully translated and validated in 22 different languages. The ambition here was massive, to try and find a common psychological ground across all of this amazing human diversity.
So, how did they do it? It was actually surprisingly straightforward. People just rated how much they agreed with simple statements about their lives. So for autonomy, you'd get a statement like, "I feel a sense of choice and freedom in the things I undertake." Or to measure the frustration of relatedness, you might rate something like, "I feel excluded from the group I want to belong to." So, after collecting this absolute mountain of data from every corner of the world, what did they find? Does this whole theory of universal needs actually hold up under scientific scrutiny? Well, the verdict is in.
The results are pretty fascinating, and this table here shows a key piece of the puzzle. It looks at how feeling satisfied in a need relates to feeling frustrated in that same need. For competence, you can see there's a strong negative link, but it's not a perfect negative one. And that tells us they aren't just exact mirror opposites of each other.
So what this implies is actually pretty profound. Feeling competent is a totally different psychological experience from feeling like a failure. They aren't just two ends of the same stick.
This finding confirmed that to get the full picture of someone's well-being, you really have to measure both the positive side, satisfaction, and the negative side, frustration, for all three needs.
And the main headline from the study was just how incredibly consistent this model was. This six-part structure, measuring satisfaction and frustration for autonomy, relatedness, and competence, it just fit the data. It worked reliably across all 22 languages in all 32 countries, and it held true across different gender identities and sexual orientation.
So the takeaway here is huge. This is some of the strongest evidence we've ever had that these three psychological needs are not just some Western idea. It seems they are fundamental, genuine human universals.
The science is fascinating for sure, but what does it actually mean for us? For you? How can we take this and use it in our own lives? This is where the theory becomes a really powerful, practical tool.
The researchers themselves said it best. They emphasize the confidence we can now have in this tool. Because it works everywhere, the scores are actually comparable, and that means the insights we get from it are truly universal insights.
And that really gets to the practical value of all this. This is no longer just some abstract theory. It's a reliable, scientifically backed framework. We can use these three needs, autonomy, relatedness, and competence, as a kind of personal dashboard, a way to check in on our own psychological health.
So I'll just leave you with this question. Take a moment and think about your own life, your work, your relationships, your hobbies. How are your needs for autonomy, for relatedness, and for competence being met today? Or are they being frustrated? Understanding the answer to that, well, that might just be the key to building a more fulfilling life.